Hey, welcome back to another episode of Grow Food Essay. This is International World Naked Gardening Day. Today we're going to celebrate it in the garden naked. We're going to go over a couple of my top 5 permaculture principles that I think of most often and use throughout the garden. So the first, and they're in no particular order, but the first one, which I've talked about most though, is observe and interact. And so you really want to, whenever you're out in the garden, kind of really, as we're saying, like really think about what's going on out there. Like, is there too much sun? Is there enough water in an area? Does it seem to be too dry? What are potential things that you can build in the future? And what are solutions that you can build right now to solve some of those items? The second one will be apply and self-regulate and accept feedback. So that's another one too, is know that you're going to make some mistakes, and these designs are going to evolve over time, and it's as you build them, certain elements are going to kind of like change, and then water is going to flow differently in some of the areas. So we need to think about is the design going to have to change to meet that later on? And these are okay things to like consider. This is part of the learning process, is to kind of like accept mistakes, learn from that feedback. There's another one that kind of meets the same thing kind of closely, is creatively use and respond to change. So all these are kind of really talking about how important it is to just be in the learning process, to be really kind of thinking about all the things that can be improved, and kind of make these changes throughout time, that this stuff is like an evolution. You don't build a garden and then that's pretty much how it's going to be. You're going to be adapting these things throughout time a little bit more. The next one is integrate rather than segregate. So a lot of the designs and things that have helped me throughout a lot of the gardening that I've done was learning that a lot of these plants work best well together. You can build these guilds and polycultures instead of monocultures, that it's best for diversity and all of these plants to kind of be working together in various ways. So there's ways that this gray water system that I'm sitting in right now ties into this native garden here, and also just hydrates the soil. And that kind of goes into our next one, which is produce no waste. So we really need to start thinking about all of these designs that we kind of like have, our systems that are already in our lives and things like that, like these washer machines or bathtub water and stuff like that. And these are sources that we can try to divert and use in our gardening. There's also kind of ways about just like always chopping and dropping things. Make sure that that no material really is leaving your property. If you can get to these really sustainable designs, it's about making sure that all of your brush is kind of composted and used on site, and that all these materials are kind of really being able to be integrated in there, like an old fringe being used as a worm farm, or saving barrels and buckets and stuff like that. There's all these different ways to kind of reduce your waste and figure out that way, or waste that's just in the garden, ways to integrate that back into the garden system. So this last one is about catch and store energy. So you need to think about various ways that energy is actually moving about your property, whether it be water and its rainwater catchment systems, water tanks, digging trenches and things like that to slow the movement of water and move it around. The other things are sometimes like light energy, where to store, where to put plants where you need the reduction of light, or places where you got enough light to grow fruit trees. There's also just different ways to like catch and store energy just by the chop and drop that we talked about. All these plants are creating energy here, and they need to be caught and stored back into the environment, so we continue this perpetual cycle of really producing a lot of the organic matter on site and in place. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe, and happy World Naked Gardening Day.